worst possible news about a parent. And I called
different.
her then.
That's an emergency.
No, but that's
I
my point.
understand
no,
that.
I'm agreeing with you, Lisa. That's my point. She's my female best friend, and I called her. And both times, I believe that both times I called her, I called because I knew her husband was on travel. So I knew that he wouldn't be like, who the hell called my house in the middle of the night? Not that he would ever say that. But those are the reasons. First of all, I'm going to tell you this. I do not believe that at the start of this book that either of these two people truly respected the other person's relationship. None of the behavior that they exhibited said, oh, I respect my best friend's relationship. And then, okay, he says to Stephanie, who tells him, I'm not okay with this. You need to, call her back in the morning. And she's like, I'm not going to be here when you get back if you leave. And he says, just please lock the door.
Make sure you lock up the door.
Yeah.
And all I can think is, I'm feeling Stephanie's rage because that symbolized a lack of respect for the relationship. He did not respect his relationship with Stephanie. And like you said, he's been in a relationship with his best friend. He just doesn't want to acknowledge it. That's my theory.
Right.
That was so disrespectful.
I agree. But the other thing I'm going to acknowledge is...
Here she go.
Okay.
You're going to criminalize our thoughts. So.
No, not. Leave me alone. Leave me alone. So the other thing I'm going to say that I think the author did a wonderful job is establishing how subtle the boundaries are in these long-standing relationships between opposite-sex couples, because they're friends on both sides of the issue. Men, so Xander's friends, and Navi's best friend, Tasha, they could see and appreciate the boundaries that these two were crossing. But because their relationship was so long-standing, and they've been making these accommodations for one another to keep one another first in the other person's lives, that they really had no appreciation for how it was impacting their relationship, and they were defensive about it, both of them. Both of them were very defensive about the relationship they had. Like, I think back to when I read the book, and I just finished the book, I'm going to be honest with y'all, I think 27 minutes ago. I finished the book.
Down to the minute.
When you started this morning, because it's a fast read.
Yes.
It's a very fast read.
So, but what I will say is they talk about how often they go out to eat together. Like, they actually have, like, they know what each other are going to order. They know each other's favorite restaurants. Even when he chose a different restaurant, one that she likes more than he does, like, she's like, what does that mean? And so they know each other so well. But yet they still were in other relationships. So I can only imagine the type of havoc that would wreak on an intimate relationship. Your best friend knows not only are y'all always going out to eat together and having brunch and mimosas, which I didn't know you made mimosas with vodka. I learned that in the book. I had no idea. I thought it was made with champagne.
I'm going to say this very kindly.
Champagne.
It's not really, I don't think it's really a mimosa. There's vodka. There might be a different kind of alcoholism going on there.
Oh, okay. I was
drunk.
like, okay, because I was wondering.
Have to have champagne.
Okay, because I'm like, vodka? I think that's called something else. But I don't drink, right? So I don't drink. So I was like, it might just be me. But I was like, okay. So I'll throw that out there.
Concoction.
Okay. So they got their own kind of cocktail. Yes, they got their own kind of mimosa going on Go Deep.
Jar, so imagine how big it was.
Yes.
A mason jar.
Yeah. A vodka and orange juice for breakfast. Yeah.
In a tumbler.
Yeah. And they got put out of restaurant, y'all, because they drinking too many mimosas.
Right. She mentioned that they had been put out of the restaurant for having too much, and the people had to change their their
policy.
Their bottomless mimosas.
Bunch of drunks.
Yes. So yeah, I will say that I think just when you have relationships that have been long standing, and the longer you're in a relationship, the more boundaries can get blurred, whether they're intimate or non-intimate relationships, and you could clearly see that in this story. Like from the beginning, I'm like, they do some interesting things together. And I'll save my point of one of the things that I think is the most significant that they do, that you can tell so many boundaries have been blurred.
I'm about to blow it for you.
Okay.
By saying what I'm about to say next. These two people are not just best friends. I mean, I have keys to my best friend's house, but I don't just walk inside. I always ring the doorbell.
Exactly.
Now, my best friend happens to be married, so if I roll up at her house, her husband might have some issues with that. But I thought it was very interesting that he has keys to her place, she has keys to his, and they just can walk in and out as they please. And they don't make plans. Like, I never show up at Sierra's house without calling and saying, I'm on my way. Mm-hmm. And then I do expect that her security system will pick me up before I even get to bringing up the doorbell. But I just found it interesting that he can just, I'm going to pick up dinner and just go by her house. No big deal.
Right.
Like, yeah. Mm-hmm. And I also thought that there was a point, now this it's funny because there's so much about their relationship that plays into what happens next. And I'm curious, did you feel 100% comfortable at the beginning? And comfortable is probably not the right word, but did you feel any kind of way, because she uses that term, about her choosing to ask him to do this and him having almost no reservations? And I kept wondering, how long has this couple been lying to themselves and to each other? Mm-hmm. Because I think if a male friend came to me and said, or, hey, I need X, Y, and Z, would you do it for me? I'd be like, hold up, bro, this relationship, we friends, we can't go there. I mean, he jumped on it. Even before he said yes, he's already making plans. So what did you think? Because I'm thinking, okay, I know where this story is going, but I'm wondering, should it be going there? So
right. So
tell me
ultimately, so Navi is an interesting woman. So as a creative myself, I thought it was interesting that she felt like she had lost her mojo because she didn't have an intimate relation. Well, she has an intimate relationship, but she didn't have a physically intimate relationship anymore, because I just think that's an interesting concept, that she's not able to write romance or erotic romance without physically being touched and being in an intimate relationship. And I question whether this was an opportunity that she saw to maybe try something she was curious about. Like, I just wonder if I asked Xander, could he break me off a little something, would he do it? But I'll wrap it up in the guise is, this is for professional reasons. So, but yeah, I question that, because I'm like, girl, so what about a writing coach? What about calling a critique partner? What about just going on Facebook and saying, I wrote this, can somebody just give me a little feedback? Instead of like, you know what?
Books that was good.
I'm like,
come on, where the spark was.
Yeah, like, I'm going to call my best friend of 20-something years and like, can you come over here and let's do a little strictly dickly for just a little bit, just so I can get my mojo back?
She called it, mentored it.
Yeah.
She made up some mess.
Yeah, exactly. And some mess is the right word.
Right, Sierra.
Some mess.
You are absolutely right. she made up that mess so she could get in that man's pants. And that's all that was. Because, like you said, my first thought was, why didn't she call her co-authors or, fellow authors and say, hey, can I run this by you? What do you do when you're in a rut? You don't call your best friend who has no writing experience to get your mojo back.
Right.
You don't have to be having sex to write romance.
Yeah.
It's like a single woman can't write romance. Yes, she can. She's very capable of doing that. So it had nothing to do with you being dried up, ma'am. Come on now. You just wanted that man.
I wonder, what did you guys think of the early part of the book with her friend Tasha? Tasha was very much, I wanted to think that Tasha was having feelings about her choosing to do this with her best friend, but sometimes Tasha's reaction felt very negative in the worst way. And so I'm curious about what you guys thought about Tasha's reaction to her doing this, because Tasha was she not only didn't come off as supportive, she didn't come off as kind even. It was almost like really negative at some point. And I'm curious
I don't know if I took it that way. Yeah, I didn't take it that way. I actually thought Tasha was realistic when she was like, I can't believe you just did that. Like, she was questioning her. And I think that's realistic. Like, are you sure you want to go there? Because, I felt like our heroine at some point was so focused on, yes, if this thing happens, I'm going to get what I want. Which I think she wanted to sleep with him. I really do. Yeah. But I don't feel like she thought beyond that. Like, okay, now after we sleep together, what happens immediately next and then long term? I actually felt like the hero was more emotionally connected to what are the potential consequences of us sleeping together. I thought that the author did a great job of having a man think through, okay, yes, I could sleep with this person, but what does that mean for us going forward? Yeah. So, I wasn't hating on Tasha. I wasn't at all.
Not in that purpose. I think Tasha was her voice of reason, and she needed to be that for her. But my problem with Tasha was she wasn't a great friend when she was going through crisis. Now, Tasha was having some issues that we never did find out about, and she refused to talk to her quote-unquote best friend about what was happening, but she was always digging into best friend's business. Every time he turned around, she was making a little comment about what y'all doing now. Tell me what's going on. She know the man's stroke game, but she ain't telling her best friend what's going on in her mind. I was like, what kind of friend is that?
Yeah.
She did.
No, I actually thought Tasha was, so, okay, here we go. We have one heroine with two best friends, a male and a female. And it's one of those rare instances where the man and the woman are more open with each other than the two women. Because Navi certainly didn't tell Tasha everything. And Tasha certainly didn't tell her everything. So it was interesting.
Anything.
Well, that is true. That is true. She didn't tell her anything. And Navi certainly didn't tell her everything. What'd you say?
I have some guesses about Tasha's secret.
Oh, I definitely have some guesses. So Tasha is married.
Best friend's business.
Yeah, Tasha is married. I should say that, and there's obviously something going on with her marriage that's not good, and I think for a woman in a bad marriage, I think it's not unusual for women in bad marriages to not disclose a lot.
But
yeah, but then Cole was answering Sister Girl's phone.
That's what I'm saying. She was all with
I'm like,
the
what's
male
going on?
friend.
Are you creeping?
What are
Did
you
you get
doing?
beat up? Is Cole